Be ready, 10 seconds to go. Start. Sir, now he read out some of the measures that the finance minister has taken, the repeat double dose of devaluation, etc. The fact is that there was exchange rate situation not in line with the market. So far as Indian rupee is concerned, it had to be brought to a realistic level. After all, the external price of rupee is a function of supply and demand of rupee in the international market. By artificially pegging it high, you are creating problems for yourself. It does not solve the problem, of course. Under the floating exchange rate situation, the price gets adjusted parity, but it needed realignment substantially and what you call double dose. Of course, there were two steps, and perhaps it could have been done in the first step. I concede that point. Maybe the finance minister wanted to have your reaction first and then go about it further. But ex post facto judgment is that the exchange value of rupee is more realistic today. Are you suggesting that it should have been retained at the same level? Reflect on that and then react. You have talked about fertilizer subsidy. Let us face this fact. The fertilizer subsidy was a load on the economy. Subsidies must have economic rationality, and all steps which you take may have historical rationality at some point. But simply because you gave one, they do not remain rational. They become irrelevant, and the fertilizer subsidy is a good case where initially it was needed. It served its purpose. It has delivered, among other things, a kind of vibrant rural economy in the Green Revolution area. But let us go deep into that. What is now the productivity of the agricultural sector in the Green Revolution, the prime beneficiary of the fertilizer subsidy? Is it going up, or has it reached a plateau or not? Who are the primary beneficiaries? Do they pay income tax? Are they not the beneficiaries of frequent procurement price rise twice in the previous government? Of course, you had your voters to reward. Political compulsions you had to face. Fortunately or unfortunately, it has not helped you in this round of election, but in previous round it had helped you. The other part is that is there other kind of subsidy for the agricultural sector? If you want agricultural sector to flourish, we need capital intensity for economic development. In the rural areas, the public distribution system of virtual non-existence. If it is brought to the benefit of that, we welcome it. We know more sugar is consumed in the urban sector, and by that more subsidy is diverted to a relatively affluent urban class, which is wrong in my judgment. Now, he has talked about the plan allocation. The fact remains that even in the context of a deep economic crisis, the financial allocation for the plan has been retained as proposed in the interim budget. We realize in real terms it is going to be less. But the fact is that we must compliment this government that we have cut corners here, there, and everywhere to see that the plan allocation which the previous government in its wisdom made is protected. In real terms, it is certainly going to be less because of the price rise, but you must give compliments to the government that despite the fiscal crisis and all other problems, despite the fact that our own planning program is still on the design board because we have announced that the eighth plan is to begin from the 1st of April 1992 because two of you have delivered a 2-year plan holiday to this country. The very fact that we have allowed that much to be retained will protect the growth impulses. But more important, within the plan allocation, priority has been given to the rural sector and to the agricultural sector. You talked about employment. You promised milk and honey. How many jobs you created? I leave it to your wisdom. We have promised in the rest of this financial year 900 million man days of jobs to be created more in the rural sector and the agricultural sector, and that is why the plan allocation is titled in favor of the rural sector and the agricultural sector. That was one of your election promises. How much of that you delivered in terms of stepping up of investment for the rural sector? I leave it for you wisdom to reflect. Now it is not only the rural sector, the agro industries that is going to benefit, the social sector such as education, health, etc., will ultimately generate additional employment opportunities here. Madam, our friends talked about public enterprises. We have faithfully carried the logic of what Honorable Minister proposed with regard to offloading of public sector shares. Stop.